Hey everyone, this is Linda from BrewNymph.com coming at you with another edition of Let's Get a Beer Florida. Wild Card Weekend edition, okay? It's the first week of January, New Year's, Christmas, all of that is in the books. We've gotten through the first week and now we're at the first weekend of January, and that brings us to NFL playoffs and Wild Card Weekend. So happy Wild Card Weekend, especially if you're a Jaguars fan around Jacksonville. Pretty exciting weekend coming up. We're going to be talking about BeerFests coming up and some wild card events that you can go watch the game if you're not going to be at the game on Sunday, January 7th. And we'll be running down some local events around Jacksonville and some other events around Florida. So all of this is on the calendar pages of BrewNymph.com. And stick with us because this is going to be fairly quick. We're going to run down a lot of things in a short amount of time. All right, so it's all about the Jaguars of late. Playoff fever gripping the city, pretty exciting. I've been a Jaguars fan since 1994 when I first visited here. I was living in the Midwest and fell in love with the city, and well, here I am. So exciting times here. I've been to a couple of games, flew in from Chicago. I even found my playoff ticket from January 23rd of 2000, the AFC Championship game. I was going through some snow pictures, found that. So pretty cool. That was the last time a playoff game was played here in Jacksonville. And the next one will be tomorrow, January 7th, as we probably all know. All right, so we're going to be talking about all these things, but first I want to say thanks again to Kevin Miller of Bold City Brewery, who hung out with me last week. And we were talking about the new can releases coming out of Bold City in the first quarter of 2018 and the rest of 2018. So look for those coming your way, Jacksonville, and some other places around Florida if supplies allow that. So some pretty cool news out of Bold City. Thanks again to Kevin for meeting with me last week. Had a great time shooting that New Year's Eve video. If you haven't seen it, it is on youtube.com. The archived videos go there. All right, so we have some news that came up this week. One big piece of news, again, this is around Jax, okay? We'll be talking otherwise about Florida, but this is Jax for now. Intuition Ale Works announced officially that Underdark Day will be February 3rd. That's the first Saturday in February. They'll be doing the bottle releases starting at 11 a.m. There will be lines forming. Hopefully the weather won't be as chilly and people standing out there in lines won't be freezing their butts off to get those bottles. Even if it is, I know they'll be out there. So good news, stay tuned for that, February 3rd. And of course, that's on BrewNymph.com. And this just in, Minibar Donuts in Jax Beach is going to be opening January 13th. I'll be putting that on the calendar shortly, but look for that next weekend, guys, January 13th and 14th with opening weekend. Minibar Donuts, they've been doing a lot of really cool things around the area. Donuts and beer. They did a beer pairing at Southern Swells that I was at a few weeks ago, and lots of fun stuff. So look for some cool things coming out of there. Sounds like a fun place right there. Speaking of Southern Swells, this was the other bit of news. First year anniversary coming up January 27th, and they'll be tapping 3 new beers in putting those in cans and also doing an additional 3 putting those in bottles. So that'll be January 27th. And by the way, this site, BrewNymph.com, was the first to report on Southern Swells back in April of 2016. Had an interview with those guys across the street in Jax Beach and hadn't even seen their place yet, had never met them before, and Jay and Corey were great couple of guys, had a great time doing that interview, and that goes back to April of 2016, followed up with an opening day story a year ago, and some other things since then. They're in the news quite a bit. So that's some of the news going on around Jacksonville, but let's get back to football, shall we? So as we know, there is a Jaguars game January 7th, first playoff game since 2000, like I said, and there will be some watch parties going around the Jax area. So if you can't make it to the game, didn't get tickets, didn't want to pay the prices, don't want to battle the parking, whatever reason, if you're looking for a place to go watch the game with some beer and food discounts and specials, I've got those listed on BrewNymph.com. We'll go over a couple of those in a minute. And Latest, there will be teal beer and teal food at Everbank Field on Sunday, January 7th. And I have a story on that with a quote from the general manager of the concessions at Everbank. And I also obtained some pictures of some of the food and the beer. And there will be teal hamburger buns, and that's what I call buns of teal, okay? So teal everywhere. And how do you guys like my new hat, by the way? I'll be wearing this tomorrow at the game. All right. Beer Fest season in Florida, like I mentioned, I wrote a preview story covering mostly January events all over Florida. Take a look at that. It's on BrewNymph.com right now. But let's go over a few of them. Get your tickets. Fire and Beer High Gravity Fest at Tampa Bay Brewing Company. That is January 6th at night. High ABV beers with a bonfire out there. Sounds like a fun time. Tampa Bay Brewing in West Chase. Love those guys. Also, there's a Hogtown Brew Down at First Magnitude in Gainesville on Sunday, January 7th, with the Hogtown Brewers to benefit the Humane Society. Happy anniversary to 7th Sun Brewery in Dunedin. I've been to that place, cool little place, and you know that they've opened another location in Tampa. So congratulations to 7th Sun. A couple of other beer fests coming on. We've got January 13th, Funky Buddha Maple Bacon Coffee Porter Fest, and you can see the bottle behind me up there. I haven't even opened that bottle yet. That's still from 2017. I'm actually waiting for 2018, and we'll do those side by side. So in any event, Maple Bacon Coffee Porter Fest, say it fast, January 13th. Get your tickets if you haven't done that. Always a fun time down there at Funky Buddha. Great place to go visit. Next one we're talking about, I went to this one last year, Trench Day at Due South, where they'll be releasing Mariana Trench Imperial Stout in cans this year. You can see behind me the empty bottle. A couple of weeks ago when I mentioned that bottle was still full. It's empty now, and the beer was just as good as it was when I got it last January. So cocoa nibs and vanilla in that Imperial Stout, and a great time there. Due South is under renovation, building out their tap room, and that's a really intimate little fest. About 300 tickets get sold. They'll have a lot of guest taps, some timed tappings, and you'll be able to get Mariana Trench in cans, including a Java version this year. Sounds really awesome. Moving on, also in Miami area, we've got Miami Beer Festival on January 20th at Marlins Park. Sounds like a load of fun, and when isn't it fun in South Florida, right? Hopefully it'll be a little warmer down there by then. You should be. St. Pete Beer and Bacon Fest going over to the other side of the state on January 20th. Lots of bacon, food dishes prepared by chefs, and lots of local beer at that fest. Rounding out the month of January is Jupiter Craft Brewers Fest at the Roger Dean Stadium in Jupiter. That'll be on January 27th, and I have a recap story on there from last year. Actually, I've attended this fest just about every year for maybe the past 6 years, and I have stories on there from at least 2013. I've been a vendor there, I've been an attendee, always a great time down in South Florida in Jupiter, and there's a great golf course there. If you're gonna make a weekend out of it, take your golf clubs, play some golf at Abacoa. And that's going on, like I said, January 27th. Get your tickets now because it will sell out. So looking forward to some additional events in February. Going to run them down real quick. They're all on BrewNymph.com. Get your tickets. Some of these will sell out. Underdark Day, I mentioned February 3rd. DeLand Craft Beer Fest, February 10th in downtown DeLand. Also another fun fest. See last year's recap on BrewNymph.com. It was a great time. They changed the venue. Loads of space to move around. Great time out at DeLand. J-Dubs Brewing over in Sarasota with its anniversary and Dub Fest, February 10th. Brew Miami down at FIU, also February 10th. And back up in Jax, there'll be a growler team relay, Wicked Barley to Zeta on February 17th. So get your tickets now. That's a leg race. You get a team. Everybody runs a different leg of that. Sounds like a lot of fun. Also on February 17th in Miami again, Wake Fest, J. Wakefield Anniversary. Many of you are familiar with J. Wakefield beers. Some really good stuff coming out of South Florida there. And the anniversary on February 17th. Florida Craft Brew and Wing Fest, Vero Beach, February 17th. I've been a vendor and an attendee here a number of times as well. Vero Beach, this fest has been growing every year. They expanded it again last year, and I have a recap story from last year on BrewNymph.com and the year before. Take a look at that if you're in the middle part of Florida. Head down to Vero on the 17th, and that'll be a lot of fun as well. Bonita Brew Fest over on the other side, the Gulf Coast, also on February 17th. Beautiful area over there, by the way. Back in Jax, Riverside Craft Beer Fest on February 17th. Again, see last year's recap on the story under the Fuller Warren Bridge in Jax. Always a great time at that fest. Then we head into March, and a lot going on in March. I've already got those listed, so take a look at some of those, and I'll be adding to those. So now let's take a look around the Jax area at some daily things going on this week. Again, we mentioned Jaguars, right? Jaguars watch parties. If you're not going to the game, check out some of these places. We've got Main and Six Brewing with $1 off beers if you wear your Jags gear. We've got Game Day headquarters at Fionn McCool's in Jax with some beer and food specials. Ann O'Malley's in St. Augustine with some beer specials, and if you're wearing the winning jersey, you'll get some beer specials at the end of the game. Of course, we don't know who's going to win that game, but go Jags, right? We've got Jaguars Game Day at Engine 15 in Jax Beach with some beer specials and some food specials going on. Playoff cookout at Brews Bartram Park. A watch party at Wicked Barley in Jax. And if you guys have been to Wicked Barley parties before, you know that they will have a lot of cool stuff for you. They've got $3 beers, food specials. So if you're in Jax, more on the south side area, check out Wicked Barley. And also a playoff potluck at Hyperion in the Springfield area. So those are some of the events, and if I see any more today, I'll add them on. I'm recording this January 7th, or 6th, by the way, Saturday morning, okay? Couple of things real quick, running down some events locally through Jax. I want to mention Alewife is getting their beer school back in gear, their monthly series of beer school events where they talk about different ingredients and Beer School 101, that kind of thing. It's all on BrewNymph.com, starting up January 9th with a malt class. I've been to a couple of her classes. She does a phenomenal job there. So if you want to learn a little bit more about beer, check out Kelly's class at Alewife, and you'll learn some other things as well. From one certified Cicerone to another, I like what she's doing over there, and some pretty educational, fun stuff. All right, we've got bingo, we've got games, we've got trivia, we've got pint nights, we've got ladies' nights, all these things going on all week through Jax. It's all on BrewNymph.com. So guys, please check that stuff out. I list these, I update them daily. It's all on there. Bringing us to next Saturday, January 13th, we have a fun run over at Veterans United, a 4K fun run on the 13th, 9 o'clock. So take a look at that, sign up for that. And a grand opening of Matthews Brewing Company in Lake Worth in the West Palm area. I mentioned them a few weeks ago. They just opened in December. And again, we've got painting and pints. We've got pint nights, trivia, other things going on. Bringing us to Sunday, January 14th. We hope to see next week the Jaguars in those divisional playoffs on the 13th, 14th weekend. We won't know that until the end of day on Sunday. And we've got some other things going on. Again, check out the list. And enjoy the football, guys. That's kind of all I have right now. Again, keep track of everything with BrewNymph.com. Update it all the time. And I'm just going to leave you. This is an Intuition Ale Works beer in the can, by the way. So go Jags. Duval till we die. Be out there tailgating with the brigade tomorrow on Sunday in the new hat. So I might need this. It's going to still be chilly. And in the meantime, see you around a beer fest around Florida, beer event around Jax, and let's get a beer, Florida. See you next week, everybody. Happy football.